Ephesians 4:29 and 31. Let no unwholesome word proceed from your mouth, but only such a word as is good for edification according to the need of the moment, that it may give grace to those who hear. And be kind to one another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another. Oh, that's wrong. That's a good verse. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and slander be put away from you, along with malice. He's serious about this. And Psalm 141:3. So we're even talking about this Old Testament. When people say there's nothing in the Old Testament, it's about the New. They obviously know nothing about the Bible. Psalm 141:3.
Are we going to be in Proverbs?
We're going to be all over the place.
Oh, okay.
But mostly in Proverbs.
Okay.
141:3. Set a guard. Oh, I always thought this should have been my verse. Set a guard, O Lord, over my mouth. Keep watch over the door of my lips.
That's me too.
Yes.
Even though I'm getting better.
Yes. And finally, on this point, James 3:5-8, after Hebrews. James 3:5-8. So also the tongue is a small part of the body, and yet it boasts of great things. Behold, how great a forest is set aflame by such a small fire. The tongue. It's James 3:5-8. And the tongue is a fire, the very world of iniquity. The tongue is set among our members as that which defiles the entire body and sets on fire the course of our life, and is set on fire by hell. That's pretty scary. For every species of beasts and birds, of reptiles and creatures of the sea is tamed, and has been tamed by the human race. But no one can tame the tongue. It is a restless evil and full of deadly poison.
And the strongest muscle in the body.
Right. And finally, James 4, same place almost, 11 and 12. Do not speak against one another, brethren. He who speaks against a brother or judges his brother speaks against the law. Speaks against the law and judges the law. But if you judge the law, you are not a doer of the law, but a judge of it. So, God's serious. He doesn't want us talking bad about him, about each other, about other things. It's that old maxim. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything. And then if you get really good, the not nice thing doesn't come to your head. But I've gotten
That's
nowhere.
what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I've gotten nowhere near that yet. Working, but I'm just glad I can zip it up and not say it. All right, talking about speech. Also in James 3:2. James 3:2. We all stumble in many ways. If anyone is never at fault in what he says, he is a perfect man, able to keep his whole body in check. Nobody's perfect, so we know we're all gonna fail. All right, now in Proverbs 12:13-14, 12, all this is in 12, 13-14, and 17-19. Proverbs 12:13-14, and 17-19. An evil man is trapped by his sinful talk, but a righteous man escapes trouble. For the fruit of his lips a man is filled with good things, as surely as the work of his hands rewards him. A truthful witness gives honest testimony, but a false witness tells lies. Reckless words pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Truthful lips endure forever, but a lying tongue lasts only a moment. All right. It's estimated that the average person spends 1/5 of his or her life talking. On average, a single day's words would fill a 50-page book. Within a year, our words would fill 132 books of 200 words each. And I did 132 a year times 80, because we're all gonna live at least to 80, I have to say. 10,560 books. You do it now. I know. Right. And Jesus, good communication is important for speech too, because you get so it doesn't work when you can't communicate with each other. And one of the sermons I was listening to, he was giving examples about communication and how that it's culture, gender, generational differences. Like English call boot, that's the trunk of their car, it's our boot. And you know, all those kinds of things. And gender, think of all gender, women think of things differently than men. And generational, think about how the younger generation talk and you don't have a clue what they're talking about, you know, the stuff they use in their texting and just the things that they say. So communication is kind of hard, but you gotta go with the flow, even as we get older. All right, content. We're gonna talk about content, tone, purpose, content, tone, purpose, and timing. All right, content. We're first going to talk about slander. Proverbs 16:28. Proverbs 16:28. All right. A perverse man spreads strife, and a slanderer separates intimate friends. When you tell lies and slander somebody, that can ruin people's friendship. And slander is evil, malicious talk that's meant to damage or destroy others. And it may or may not be true. It may be true, but you keep it to yourself. And
at the end, they can destroy themselves too.
Right. Oh yeah. Proverbs 10:18. He who conceals hatred has lying lips, and he who spreads slander is a fool. So you're a fool, and you're gonna separate friends. All right. Proverbs 20:19. 20:19. He who goes about a slanderer reveals secrets. Therefore, do not associate with a gossip. Not supposed to associate with people that slander or gossip. And it comes back to you in the end, the slanderers. You may get by with it at the beginning, like I tell Carmen something about Helen, and it's not true. And then Carmen tells everybody else, and Helen, of course, finds out. And then I get it. So it's,
when you're saying things like that, like it never stays the same.
right. Like the telephone game where I whisper something in your ear, and by the time it gets over to Edna, it's nowhere near how it started. And that's also our perception. It's not just our hearing, it's our perception.
People have told, somebody told me something and it went to, and when it came to me,
it was nothing like it. All right, Colossians 3:8. Colossians 3:8. But now you must rid yourself of all such things as these: anger, rage, malice, slander, and filthy language from your lips. No slander, no rage, no anger, no malice. Colossians 3:8. And also Psalm 101:5. After Proverbs 101:5. Before. Woo! It's okay. Yes. 101:5. Remember his wonders which he has done, his marvels and the judgments uttered by his mouth. No, 101:5. That's wrong. That was 505. 101. It didn't sound right.
101.
101:5. Whoever secretly slanders his neighbors, him will I destroy. So now you're getting destroyed by God. No one has a haughty look, and no one who has a haughty look and an arrogant heart will I endure. God's gonna get you. Arrogant heart, haughty look, and slandering. God's gonna get you. We did Ephesians 4:31. And there was also a quote, and it's by Molière. He was a poet, French poet, 1800s. And I looked to see if he was a Christian, but he was raised Catholic or had some association with the Catholic Church, but he was very anti-Christian. But he sucked up to King Louis XIV, so he never was outspoken. He always covered it in his writings and stuff. You could get it. It's kind of like John did Revelation, so the Romans wouldn't know what was going on. Well, Molière did anti-Christian stuff in that way, so nobody could directly say, because it was a Catholic nation at that point. But what he did say, when the debate is lost, when the debate is lost, slander becomes the tool of the loser. I'm debating, Terry and I lose, so now I start saying bad things about Terry, because she didn't know anything anyway. I don't know how she won that. But that's what happens with people. But then he goes on, the best way is to pay no attention to it, but live in innocence and let the world talk. That's all. We just ignore it, live in innocence, no backbiting, no trying to get back, and let the world talk, because it's gonna talk anyway. So nobody cares. Nobody cares if Diane says something bad about me, and I get really angry and upset, and my blood pressure's off. She's happy. That's what she was looking for. Who's hurt? The person that's getting all upset. If you just don't do anything and let it go, you see that with kids when they don't react. When you don't react, it's no fun anymore. So they stop. All right. In James 1:19, and this is kind of the basis of all of this, is what he says: be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. James 1:19. Listen, and when people are talking to me, other lawyers or clients and stuff, I have a tendency to think I know what they're gonna say and just start talking, and they're not finished. And I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry too.
Yeah, right, but I still do it. That's another thing I gotta work on, But I want, I'm impatient, another thing. I want them to say it and let's get on with it, So I try to help them along, I guess. Oh, brother. Okay, so, all right, now, gossip. Rumors or revelation of personal or sensational facts about others that you shouldn't be talking about. Proverbs 11:13. A gossip betrays a confidence, but a trustworthy man keeps a secret. You know who you can tell that they'll keep the secret, and you know that you shouldn't tell certain people because it's going to be all over the place. So then it's kind of your fault if you do it. Proverbs 18:8. The words of a whisperer are like dainty morsels, and they go down into the innermost parts of the body, which means chambers of the belly. Innermost parts of the body was a terminology they used for chambers of the belly. And everybody likes gossip. We all do, Oh, did you hear about Brenda? Oh yeah, let me hear about Brenda. It's all true. So this is gossip. Dainty morsels, we love to hear it, and a lot of times we love to pass it on. Ooh, did you hear about Brenda? So no, it's our sin nature that loves to do that. Especially we love to hear gossip about people we particularly like, and it's something bad that we can spread. Don't take the bait. That's Satan. That's Satan trying to trip you up. All right. Proverbs 26:20-22. 26:20-22. For lack of, this is so interesting, the way he uses analogies and words. He's so interesting. For lack of wood, the fire goes out. You're not gossiping, you're not lying, the fire's going out. And where there's no whisperer, contention quiets down. When nobody's gossiping, there's no contention because there's nothing to be contending about. Like charcoal to hot embers and wood to fire, so is a contentious man to kindle strife. The words of a whisper, again, are like dainty morsels, and they go down to the innermost parts of the body. He was serious about that. No gossiping, no whispering. And if it doesn't keep up, I hear something about Brenda, and I don't want to hear it. And that's another thing, one of the sermons that I was listening to said, you know, once you hear something, you can't unhear it.
Yeah. Well, I would think you'd come to my defense.
Yes, right.
She already knows everything about you.
Yeah, right. You can't tell me anything I don't know.
That's
I
fine.
can tell you some things you'd like to know. No, but you can't unhear it. And then you think about it. Is that, so it's really bad. And so if somebody starts gossiping to you, you should really say, you know, not mean, but you know, I really don't want to hear that, you know? And I know that's hard to say, especially when you do want to hear it.
What did you hear about me?
Oh, right. All right.
Or, if you're telling me this, what do you say about me?
All right. They say if you're, that was one of the same sermon said, you know, as soon as they walk away, they're going to be saying something about you. If they're saying something about, if I'm saying something about Brenda, as soon as Brenda walks away, she could be saying something about me, you know, or I could be. Yeah.
I didn't know about her, Ellie.
Right. All right. Romans 1, 28 to 29. Romans 1, 28 to 29. And just as they did not see fit to acknowledge God any longer, God gave them over to a depraved mind to do things which are not proper. This is when he's talking about all the bad people. And being filled with all unrighteousness, wickedness, greed, evil, full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, malice, they are gossips, slanderers, haters of God, insolent, arrogant, boastful, inventors of evil, disobedience to parents. Paul puts disobedience to parents in the same level as all that, which shows you, children, how they should obey their parents. So, slanderers, haters of God, insolent, arrogant, boastful, inventors of evil, disobedient, gossips. God is serious about this. You know, it's not just, oh, I said something, I probably, no, you should not say it, and you should try to never say anything like that again. All right, now lies. False statements that are sometimes about something or someone. And the first lie ever told, Genesis 3:4. Genesis 3:4. The first lie ever told by the father of lies. Genesis 3:4. And the serpent said to the woman, you surely shall not die. For God knows that in the day you eat from it, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing good and evil. So that was a half-truth. They're not going to be like God, but they're going to know good and evil. You know? But that was Satan, the father of lies. That was the first lie. So, all right, so Proverbs 12:22. The Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in men who are truthful. Proverbs, that was 12:22. Proverbs 6:16 and 17. There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. I never understood how you don't start with he hates all 7, but whatever. I'm not God. I'm not Solomon.
What was it, Proverbs?
6:16. Proverbs 6, 16 and 17.
Okay.
There are 6 things the Lord hates, 7 that are detestable to him. A lying tongue, a false witness who pours out lies, and a man who stirs up dissension among brothers. John 8:44. This is about Satan. John 8:44. You belong to your father, the devil. Jesus is saying this to the Pharisees when they were always trying to trick him, which was so stupid. Who can trick Jesus? But they didn't realize it because they didn't believe he was Messiah, which they should have known because they knew all the Old Testament and he fulfilled all the signs, and they still wouldn't believe it because he wasn't the king that they thought that the way the king was coming. So you belong to, John 8:44, you belong to your father, the devil, and you want to carry out your father's desires. He was a murderer from the beginning, not holding to the truth, for there is no truth in him. When he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies. So every time you lie, which we all do, you're imitating Satan. You're on Satan's side. And he likes it. God hates it, but he likes it. All right, Proverbs 14:5. 14:5. A faithful witness will not lie, but a false witness speaks lies. In court, that's called perjury. And you could potentially, or in theory, go to jail, but very seldom does that happen. It's only if it's really high profile, that may be the difference between whether somebody gets convicted or not. That's something, but the general lies that people tell are just kind of, we know you're lying, but how are you gonna prove it? So, Proverbs 13:5. A righteous man hates falsehood, but a wicked man acts disgustedly and shamefully. Proverbs 3:5. And then we have 3:5. 13:5. I'm sorry, 13:5, and then we had 14:5, which we just did. And then 10:18. Proverbs 10:18. He who conceals hatred has lying lips, and he who spreads slander is a fool. Then Proverbs 12:19. Truthful lips will be established forever. You're getting part of God's kingdom is established forever, but a lying tongue is only for the moment. And what happens when you lie? You gotta remember. You better have a good memory when you lie. When you tell the truth, it's all, you can remember it generally.
My
Sometimes.
dad used to tell me all the time, you're not smart enough to lie.
Right.
I'll find out. Always.
Right. Proverbs, we just did, so we did Proverbs 12:19. Proverbs 21:6. 21:6. The getting of treasures by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor, the pursuit of death. When you get something by a lying tongue is a fleeting vapor, it's probably gonna go. And the pursuit of death, it's gonna get you in bad places. So, I love the analogies he gives. It should, wake up people to how bad it is. The pursuit of death, woohoo. All right, Proverbs 17:4. An evildoer listens to wicked lips. A liar pays attention to a destructive tongue. So if you're evil and lie, you love to hear lies because it builds up what you want to believe. 17:7. Excellent speech is not fitting for a fool, much less are lying lips to a prince. Fools are the ones that you lie, and lying lips, it's really bad for a
Read that
prince.
again.
Oh, it's 17:7. Excellent speech is not fitting for a fool, but much less are lying lips to a prince. All right, Proverbs 26:24-26. Proverbs 26:24-26. He who hates disguises it with his lips, but he lays up deceit in his heart. That's the backstabbing people that smile to your face and when you turn, When he speaks graciously Do not believe him or her, for there are 7 admonitions in his heart. Though his hatred covers itself with guile, his wickedness will be revealed before the assembly. It'll come out sooner or later. His wickedness will be revealed before the assembly. But that's people that smile on your face, and we have plenty of those in the church, unfortunately. So, but we shouldn't be one of them. So, okay. And, all right, in the Old Testament, it's Leviticus 19:11. Our favorite book of the Bible, everybody. Leviticus, oh, it's so hard. Leviticus 19:11. You shall not steal, nor deal falsely, nor lie to one another. This is God. He considered this idolatry, and it was, you better not. It's idolatry to lie to one another. So we all are adulterers, probably every day of our life. Psalm 119, 163. 119, Psalm 119, 163. Oh dear, somewhere that was up and down. I am a companion of all those who fear thee and of those who keep thy precepts. 163, I know it didn't sound right. 119, 163. Okay. I hate and despise falsehood. I hate and despise falsehood, but I love the law. 119, 163. And Zephaniah 3:13.
Zephaniah.
Yeah. In the Old Testament, close to the end, he's a minor prophet. Zephaniah, Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. After Isaiah and Jeremiah, the major prophets. Zephaniah 3:13. The remnant of Israel will do no wrong and tell no lies, nor will a deceitful tongue be found in their mouths. For they shall feed and lie down with no one to make them tremble. And this is talking about Israel and the millennial kingdom and on. That it's going to be such a good time. And they'll do wrong and tell no lies. And there'll be no deceitful tongue in the millennial kingdom. And well, they're talking about all of us, but it's directly directed to Israel. Zephaniah 3:13. All right, so we've talked about slander, gossip, lies. Now we're going to talk about flattery. Flattery.
Okay.
Insincere flattery. Insincere or excessive praise of another person. All right, Proverbs 26:28. A lying tongue hates those it hurts, and a flattering mouth works ruin. Proverbs 26:28. Proverbs 28:23. 28:23. He who rebukes a man will afterward find more favor than he who flatters with the tongue. So that's talking about he who's telling the truth and rebukes you and tells you something that you should know. Not gossip, not meanness, rebuking you because you've done something that you probably know is wrong and he or she knows is wrong. And that works well if you listen, because it's going to change your behavior. But the flatterer, it will afterwards find more favor. The rebuker will find more favor than he who flatters with the tongue. I know you're doing wrong, and I'm your Christian sister or brother, but you're really good. Oh no, that doesn't matter. Just don't take it too far, because you're such a good person. I know you wouldn't take it that far. That's flattery. All right, Psalm 29:5. Proverbs 29:5, Proverbs. A man who flatters his neighbor is spreading a net for his steps. Like bird, they always talk about the bird in the net. The flatterer is spreading the thing. Proverbs 26:24-28. We may have just read that. 24-28. Proverbs 26:24-28. He who hates disguises it with his lips, but he lays up deceit in his heart. When he speaks graciously, do not believe him. Oh, we just read that. For there are 7 admonitions in his heart. Though his hatred covers itself with guile, his wickedness will be revealed before the assembly. I love this. He who digs a pit will fall into it, and he who rolls a stone, it will come back at him. A lying tongue hates those it crushes, and a flattering mouth works ruin. So it's all gonna come back to you. The rock's gonna fall back on you, and you're gonna fall into the pit. All right, Proverbs 29, we already did that, 5. 27:6, Proverbs 27:6. Faithful are the wounds of a friend, but deceitful are the kisses of an enemy. The wounds of a friend, we talked about that before, I think. Yes, it hurts if your friend tells you something you really don't want to hear. But number one, it should be told in love, and number one, you should 27:6, Proverbs 27:6, and you should accept it in love. I mean, it's hard to hear criticism ourselves. We all know that. But you should accept it in love and listen to what they say, because they're wounds, but they're your friends and they're trying to help you. Proverbs 5:3. For the lips of an adulteress drip honey, and smoother than oil is her speech. That's talking about flattery when we talked about the adulteress who's trying to bring the young boy in. Proverbs 7:21. Bind them continue on your heart. Oh no, that's not right. 7:21. With her, back to the adulteress. With her many persuasions she entices him. With her flattering lips she seduces him. Goes both ways too. They talk about the adulteress, like we said before in this, because Solomon is giving advice to his son. So that's why it's always talked, but it goes both ways. Men flatter to try and get what they want and talk, etc. Psalm 52:21. Back to Psalm. The one before, not after. Psalm 52:21. And it doesn't have 21. Oh, it must be wrong. Well, then go to Psalm 12:3. I don't know how I wrote it. Psalm 12:3. May the Lord cut off all flattering lips, the tongue that speaks great things. This is serious business. Cut off flattering lips, the tongue that speaks great things. And Psalm 5:9. There is nothing reliable in what they say. Their inner part is destruction itself. The throat is an open grave. They flatter with their tongue. No flattery, please. So, all right, the next one. So we've had lies, gossip, slander, flattery, and the final one is deception. Deception, the art of misleading or misinforming another person. It's like deception and deception. Your child comes and says, can I go to Louis? And you say, well, who are you going with? And so they name 5 of the 6 people they're going with, because they know the sixth one, the parents will say, no, you're not going. That's not lying, it's deception. And God hates that as much as lying, because you are rather lying. It's lie of omission, not commission. But that's deception. Proverbs 24:28. Do not testify against your neighbor without cause, or use your lips to deceive. So, don't testify or use your lips. Proverbs 12:22. Proverbs 12:22. Lying lips are an abomination to the Lord, but those who deal faithfully are his delight. Abomination, do not do it. And Proverbs 38. Proverbs 38. Keep deception and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches. Feed me with the food that is my portion, lest I be full and deny thee and say, who is the Lord? Or lest I be in want and still, and profane the name of my God. Keep deception and lies far from us. That's what Solomon is asking.
That's Proverbs 38.
38.
Verse 8.
Verse 8. Yeah.
30.
Oh,
I'm
30
sorry,
was-
Proverbs
that was
chapter
30.
30, verse 8. Proverbs chapter 14, verse 8. The wisdom of the prudent is to understand his way, but the folly of fools is deceit. So fools use deceit. You don't want to be a fool. Proverbs 6:19. A false witness who utters lies and one who spreads a heart that, these are the abomination that God hates, the six things that the Lord hates, and yet 7 they are an abomination to him. A false witness who utters lies and one who spreads strife among his brothers. And Proverbs 1:10. My son, if sinners entice thee, do not consent. That's deceit, trying to entice you to do something that you shouldn't do. All right, next thing is tone. We've done, yes. We did content, what we say. Tone is how we say it. An anonymous quote. I'm careful of the words I speak. I keep them soft and sweet. I never know from day to day which ones I'll have to eat. Yes. All right. Pleasant words. Proverbs 16. This is how the tone we're supposed to use. Pleasant words. Proverbs 16:24. Pleasant words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. So that's 16:24. Honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones. And you know that. When people speak pleasantly to you, it makes you feel good, you know. Gracious, pleasant, now gracious. Proverbs 22:11. He who loves a pure heart and whose speech is gracious will have the king for his friend. So, gracious speech, 22:11. 20, kind speech, Proverbs chapter 12, verse 25. An anxious heart weighs a man down, but a kind word cheers him up. And gentle, so pleasant, gracious, kind, gentle. Proverbs 15:1. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. And Proverbs 15:4, soothing. The tone, we want to soothe. 15:4. A soothing tongue is a tree of life, but perversion in it crushes the spirit. So we want pleasant words, gracious words, kind words, gentle words, and soothing words. Okay, so that's how we say things. Why do Proverbs tells us everything? Why do we say it?
Could you run that again, please?
You mean the
Tone
reasons
with
for tone?
pleasant
Pleasant.
words, soothing, calm, gentle words. What's the other one?
Great, pleasant, gracious, kind, gentle, soothing. All right, why
Thank
we say it? Did you get that?
Thank you, yes.
Okay, sorry. When we say, why we say it? Number one, to promote healing. Proverbs 12:18. Why we talk, to promote healing. Reckless words pierce like a sword, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. And that's really a pierce like a sword when people have been unkind to you, especially when it was out of the blue and you didn't expect it. It does pierce like a sword, especially if it's somebody that is in a position of something, or, you know, that you thought you had a good relationship with maybe, and it's like a sword piercing you. But the tongue of the wise brings healing. And then Proverbs 18:1. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its fruit. Death and life are in the power of the tongue. You can say things to people that may lead to sight. That's serious business, especially now with all this stuff on Facebook and all the media stuff. You know, because you can say anything you want because it's so anonymous. You don't even have to give your name, you know, and all this stuff. And it just engenders nastiness and cruelness and stuff. So, I know most of us probably aren't into all that, so we don't have to worry, but, all right. To cheer up, you're supposed to use it to heal, to not bring death, to cheer someone up. Proverbs 12:21. An anxious heart weighs a man down, but a kind word cheers him up. Cheer somebody up. Proverbs 12:25. All right.
12:21 or 12:25?
12 verse 25.
Oh.
To instruct. Words are used to instruct. Proverbs chapter 16 verse 21. The wise in heart are called discerning, and pleasant words promote instruction. Who are you going to want to listen to and learn? People that are being nasty and cruel and telling you better learn this, or kind and stuff, and you ask them questions and they respond to you. It promotes instruction. All right, the next one is to correct. Something we may not want so much as to instruct or cheer. To correct. Proverbs chapter 25 verse 12. Like an earring of gold or an ornament of fine gold is a man's rebuke to a listening ear. Like we talked about, you don't like to be rebuked, but if you are a Christian and the person is doing it in love, then it should be like an ornament of fine gold or an earring of gold, because it's going to make you a better person, probably more Christ-like.
So
All right.
we should pray to be receptive of positive criticism.
Right, with criticism in love. In love, not, you're supposed to tell your brother or sister in love. I'm not sure, you're even supposed to try and instruct or criticize non-saved, because maybe you should, maybe it will bring them to something, but yes, it should be said in love. And if it's not said in love, it's kind of pointless, because it's going to get you. We're human. And somebody says something, whether or not it's true, but they say it harshly or, nastily, you're not going to listen. You're just going to get angry and want to strike back. So in love and gentle and kindly is how yes, and then you're supposed to be open to that, because it'll make us better Christians. All right, Proverbs 10:21. 10:21. Words are also supposed to be used to uplift us. The lips of a righteous feed many, but fools will die for lack of understanding. So it uplifts us and feeds us. Kind words, and that is why we're supposed to use kind words. Proverbs 10 verse 21. The lips of the righteous feed many. All right, and finally, to compliment. We're supposed to use our words to compliment, not flatter. This is different from flattery. Compliments are true. And, Proverbs chapter 27, verse 2. Let another praise you and not your own mouth. Don't brag about yourself. That's another little instruction here. You're not supposed to be tooting your horn. If it's really true what you're tooting about, other people will toot for you. Let another praise you and not your own mouth. Someone else and not your own lips. Not you. So that's what it's for, to compliment our brothers or anybody. Our words should, and not just fellow Christians, anybody. We should compliment and cheer up, instruct and correct. That's probably more borderline that you try to do. But everything in love to anybody. Everything should be said in love. If you're a teacher and you have students, you have to correct them, but it should always be said in love. All right, next is timing. When we say it, we have what we say, how we say it, when we say it. Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to speak and to remove all doubt. And this is from Winston Churchill. Broadly speaking, the short words are the best, and the old words best of all. In the course of my life, I've often had to eat my words, and I must confess that I have always found it a wholesome diet. Eating words has never given me indigestion. We are masters of the unsaid words, but slaves of those we let slip out. So what we don't say, we have control of. What we say, it's out there. I have never developed indigestion from eating my words, but swallowing evil words unsaid, no one has ever harmed my stomach. Very. Think them, swallow them, it won't hurt you. And Calvin Coolidge, I've never been hurt by anything I didn't say. All right, so when do we say it? Proverbs 10:19. When words are many, sin is not absent, but he who holds his tongue is wise. And basically, this is a saying. When you keep talking, sooner or later stuff's going to come out that probably shouldn't. But you hold your tongue and you'll be wise.
My mom used to say, a still tongue keep a wise head.
Say that again, Diane?
My mom used to tell us, a still tongue keeps a wise head. Careful what you speak.
Amen.
Think the most and speak the less.
Proverbs 21:23, chapter 21, verse 23. He who guards his mouth and his tongue keeps himself from calamity. You're going to not have trouble if you keep your mouth and keep your tongue. And Proverbs 17:27-28. A man of knowledge uses words with restraint, and a man of understanding is even-tempered. Even a fool, he keeps silent and discerning if he holds his tongue. If you don't say anything like Calvin Coolidge, nobody can hurt you. Nobody can make a judgment of whether you're wise or a fool. You're not saying anything. And most people, throughout your life, people that don't talk much, you perceive to be knowing a lot. Generally speaking. All right, there's a few more before we leave here. Proverbs 15:23. A man finds joy in giving an apt reply, and how good is a timely word. You're feeling down and somebody says, oh, your hair looks so nice today, which is so minor, but it kind of takes you off what you're down about and makes you feel good. Proverbs 25:11. A word aptly spoken is like apples of gold in settings of silver. Proverbs chapter 29, verse 20. Do you see a man who speaks in haste? There is more hope for a fool than for him. Think before you talk. It's very difficult sometimes when you want to respond when it's an incorrect thing or people are accusing you and you want to respond and probably in anger and hurt. Think before you talk. And, and if you remain silent, that may have more of an effect than even responding at all. And finally, this is the one for me. Well, no, Proverbs 13:3. The one who guards his mouth preserves his life. The one who opens wide his lips comes to ruin. And that's really apparent in like Soviet Union and these Muslim countries. You say the wrong thing, you can be in jail forever, your head slapped off, and you really have to watch your words there, but we should be just as vigilant about wrong words here anywhere. And this is for me, directed to myself. Proverbs 18:13. He who answers before listening, that is his folly and his shame. So, all right, that's pretty much what Proverbs has to say about in other parts of the Bible, because there's always stuff in the Old Testament about whatever we talk about, So, any questions, comments? You're also good.
This was a good class,
Yeah.
Oh,
Good.
Good.
A little refresher course.
Right. All right, let's pray, and then I have to have two people be witnesses for something for Brenda and me, if they would, please. You're not signing your life.
I'm in trouble again.
Right. Father in heaven, we thank you for this beautiful day and this beautiful weather we've been having, and for each and every one of these beautiful women who are here. I so appreciate their diligence and their interest and how they want to learn more about your word and about you, and in that way become more Christ-like. I ask you all to give us a great day, great weekend, and help us all just become closer in Jesus Christ, to great Jesus Christ. In your dear name we pray. Amen. Oh, I won't be here at church again this Sunday.